budget for the city of Natchitoches, which will start, our fiscal year is June 1 of this year to May 31 of next year. So I'm going to, certainly if there are any questions or anything like that, and I think, are we live, Sophie? We are live, all right? So that's just good for us to know, point of information on that. And I'll toss it to our finance director, Clarissa Brown-Smith, we've been creating these little pamphlets. I call it the citizens budget. Just kind of takes a big binder. Councilman Nielsen has his over there, and so does Councilman PT. It takes and it kind of streamlines a little bit. Now, obviously, it doesn't go through every project, but if you've got a question about what this budget funds, what it doesn't fund, certainly want you to ask that, share any concerns or anything like that as well. Mrs. Brown-Smith.
Yes, so my first point I want to make sure that we go over, and we'll probably have to address it in our regular council meeting, and I sent an email to all the council members on the change in figures. We did speak with Alex, and an amendment or a voting to amend the proposed budget can happen in our main meeting, but I sent the email to you all letting you know the changes to the particular line items that we saw in the additional review that was conducted. And so the numbers that I'm going to be reporting is a general fund at $21.8 million, the utility fund at $13.7 million, and the special funds at $43.7 million. The two categories that were affected were the general fund and the special fund, and I did go over the reasoning for that. General fund, there was an additional transfer from general to utilities that was deemed unnecessary. In layman's terms, we were kind of playing with the same amount of money. Not sure what the reasoning were for it being done in the past, but just because we see a direct transfer from utilities to the general fund, I didn't see where it was necessary to have some of those funds to go back to the utility fund. So that was a change there, and I made sure to explain that. And then with the special funds, there was a grant that was listed that will not be received at the level that it was initially. It was one of our capital projects that was going to be funded at a lesser level of $600. When we were looking at, you look and you anticipate, what you will be receiving. It was a difference once we got additional information, so we reduced that. So it wasn't an increase. I'm sorry. It wasn't an increase in any manner. Just corrections of figures there, and actually resulted in a reduction of those line items. So just wanted to speak on that first before we proceeded, and you saw that these numbers were different from what was on the proposed ordinance. Sounds good? Okay, so just jumping right into our little pamphlet that we have it displayed on the big board, but it'll just break down, like the mayor said, this huge document kind of breaks it down to some key items. Again, general fund is at $21.8 million, utility fund is at $37.7 million, special funds are at $43.7 million. You may say special funds look a lot more than it's being reported a lot more than it has been in the past few years, but we do have the water treatment plant budget there for this year, and you'll see the bulk of that come through on this fiscal year. So just wanted to make sure that we highlighted that. If you open up your pamphlet to the inside, you will see where does the general fund money come from. So you can see where we have taxes at $6.6 million. We have licenses and permits at $968,000, intergovernmental revenue at $1.4 million. We have fees, charges, and commission at $1.6, and then we have transfers from other funds at $11.1 million, that being the biggest piece of the pie at 51%. In the middle of that page, you'll see where it has a 25-26 capital outlay. Public safety is at $2.5 million. The bulk of that, of course, is the new fire station that is being built. The culture and recreation category is at 100,000, and we are planning to do some sidewalk enhancements at one of the parks. Transportation, that is our street fund, and it is listed at 650,000. And then utilities is at 17.9. Again, the water treatment plant is a part of that figure, as well as some pipe replacement, pipeline replacement, and things of that nature. And then our physical environment is at 1.1 million, and the majority of that is going to be for our airport, which is 100% funded, but we still listed on our 5-year capital plan. So at the back of your books, you should have received the 5-year plan, and that details those specific projects there.
Look, can I interject a little bit, Clarissa? Just because to start from the top to the bottom on that middle section, public safety, I know there's been some emails, Chief Wynn, I know Ed has been on it, Shauna has been on it, but just kind of update the council and I guess the listening audience who may be listening. We are live, I'll say that again. All right, so be on your best behavior, okay? All right, but Chief, is there anything we can say in terms of when it's going to start and all of that?
So right now, the project is at the state. They're approving our plans for the fire station. We're waiting on them to give the go-ahead. As soon as they give the go-ahead, Brandon will get with us and set up a meeting for bid proposals. Is that correct, the way it works?
Ed, he's looking at you.
The bid proposal comes to you after the state approves our plans. The plans have been drawn up, and we're just waiting on approval from the state now.
So the plan's drawn up, we get their approval, then we can go for construction, is what we're saying. No?
No, we go for bid.
We go for bid, so
Oh, yeah, you know what I mean.
we need to allow 2 months for that whole process to play through, then get contracts signed, and then we'll be ready. So, probably, I would estimate August or September.
Before any actual construction happens.
You see any dirt turned.
Okay, gotcha. All right, good to know. Look, we're excited about that project.
As soon as the plans, as soon as I get the approval of the plans from the state, I will reach out to you guys and send y'all a copy of them so you can see what it looks like. I don't want to give you a copy of the plans, then that's not going to be it. I want to be sure that y'all get the final. So,
And just like 1.8, we said that that's coming from the state. We pay for the design.
yes.
We pay, that's a part of our match with capital outlay dollars. All right. And another thing Clarissa pointed out on capital outlay, and you see 100,000, we mentioned some sidewalks on the park. So that's the Manning Park. No, Manning Park is now. We're doing Manning Park now. That is the one that's kind of off of South Williams. Y'all familiar with that area? Off of South Williams? Kind of behind Sherwin-Williams. Yeah, behind Sherwin-Williams.
Shamrock Park.
What's that?
Used to be Shamrock Park.
It used to be Shamrock. Okay. All right.
We got also we got a park that's over there on Salter Street that needs to be attended to.
I don't think it's ours anymore. Is that right? The one on Salter is not the city's anymore, is it?
No, that was sold.
That was so, yeah. So, yeah, maybe somebody need to attend to it, but it's not city property anymore.
We
But-
also
But it
need
used to
to-
be.
Also need to look at attending to the one on Highland Park. That park is really in a horrible condition. It really needs some upgrades to it. So I hope you would consider doing some upgrades to it also.
It's in discussion, we've talked about changing the fencing, lighting, parking lot. We've had some discussion, just a matter of funding.
I think we've considered a grant for it, but I don't know if we actually applied. So, yeah, we've looked at some grant opportunities to help with some funding to match with the city funding. But we haven't materialized anything
Building
yet.
pavilion over there, we've looked at that. Those things are in the works, I guess you'd say in the works. I mean,
They're in the works for Highland
Well,
Park.
It's on the top of our list of things around the community that are in need.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Because I know we got I don't know, we basically budgeted anything over there by Theophilus Street, Miss Blake's ditch, because it's still watching. I don't know if we budget anything into public work budget and stuff to fix that issue, that
You said the
sinkhole.
ditch?
Yes,
Oh.
it's like a sinkhole.
Sinkhole.
Yeah, and that's like on our urgent, where we need to sit there and do, like, the most main thing, because it's breaking down her
If
concrete
you're talking about behind, like, no, you might be talking about on her property.
on her property.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Street, is that
Homes, homes and, the
Tofield?
Tofield, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that issue.
And I was gonna say, just keeping in vein with the parks, also, there's some Ben Johnson Park, that's what it is for this, to redo the walking track there. You see, it's kind of like asphalt right now. So what we're doing to Manning Park now, we're budgeting to do that for Ben Johnson. Now, Ben Johnson's a little bit bigger, so it costs a little bit more. But, increase those, put the concrete down, a nice walking path. And like I said, we'll just do the same thing on Ben Johnson. That's what that is. And then also we got Clarissa talked about utilities, which is largely, I don't know how much of that 17 million is water treatment, but I know it's going to be a bulk of it. It's going to be the water treatment project. And I did a post on that last week, I think it was. They're providing us some drone pictures, some drone footage, and some pictures as well. So they're kind of chronicling that project for us. I think that's really good. Lemoyne Company, they hired somebody to do it. And we'll just kind of keep those updates going with you on that. But that's, of course, a significant project for us. But also, I think we put in, as I referenced to the council earlier via email, we typically budget about $700,000 for water line replacements. We upped it, and I know it might not sound like a lot, but it's still, $900,000. That'll get us just about complete with South Williams, we think. Ed, I know there was a document, I hadn't been able to check the email today, but I don't know if there's anything you could just share with that. I think the engineer sent something new. I don't know if anything groundbreaking in that email.
Yeah, as far as they're concerned, they're ready to start the project, to advertise, bid, and go through all that, but they just need the city's blessing to proceed, and then we'll need to give all the bid information, bid number, and then council's approval to start advertising, but we just need to make
That way
sure
we can move
that
the
the funds
project.
are there. I think 985 is what's budget, is what their estimated cost.
Oh, 985 is what they're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, to get it done?
Yeah.
What? Okay. I thought they were saying 1.3 at first, or did they
Yeah, I
reduce
thought
some
so,
down? Did they reduce some down, or you don't know?
I don't know what they did to get it down to that.
Oh.
But
Okay.
it was over $1 million.
Yeah, it was like 1.3 that we were looking at to get South Williams done at first. Okay, and Ed just kind of laid out a plan via email. I think you text me saying just how we can move that along quicker by moving forward. I guess that's in the mind with a different contractor, the same contractor? Because we got over here happening.
It'd be completely separate.
It's completely separate.
Yeah, because we have to bid it out. It'll be whoever's the low bidder, it'd be the one to get it.
Okay, well, that's in the budget to set to do that on as well. Apologize, Clarissa. I know you like to just get
That's
get
okay.
moving, but I
That's
want to talk
okay.
about those projects a little bit.
Yes, sir. So the next thing, and we'll try to move quickly, but the next thing is what are the operating costs for general fund by department? It just gives you a breakdown of those figures and the percentage of the pie that they hold. I won't go through each line item, but you can see some of the big players. Of course, is fire and police. They own about over 50% of the general fund budget. So you can see the number breakdown there. And then below there is just a pie chart that kind of gives you a visual on how those funds are broken down. Again, our total general fund budget is $21.8 million. So it just shows you each department and how it's divvied out. Okay? And then you can go to the next slide for me, Ms. Sophie, or the first slide. I don't know how it was laid out. Okay, thank you. So this, the first portion of that gives you the utility department's estimated revenue. Water department is 6.3 million, electric is 23.9, sewer is 3.3, and other revenue is 4.1. Of course, you know that we'll be going to a new electrical source of LIPA, so we'll see kind of how everything pans out with them, but these numbers are just based on the historical data that we do have. The little chart, the bar graph that you see just shows a comparison. the blue being the revenue, the orange being expenses. So you just kind of see how that shapes up against each other. Of course, in the other category, that is not a revenue generating department, more or less that is transfers from other departments. So the revenue that we see, the net income that we see from our water, electric, and sewer covers those of the other, the things that are covered in other categories. So the utilities department's budgeted expenses for water is 4.5 million, electric is 17.5 million, sewer is 2.5 million, utility service center is 770,000, IT is 680,000. Indirect expenses are 11 million, and utility administration is 674,000. Just to make a comment, electric expenses are down from last year, being that our PCA rate has been at a very low level, which has been really good for us, especially for our citizens, as those savings are passed on directly to the citizens when the PCA rate is low. So that actually has been good. So in case you're looking and saying it was a lot higher than last year, well, we've been graced to have some low PCA rates for this year. So we are projecting, definitely going in with LIPA, we're projecting to still see those types of savings and that low cost there.
Can I say a little something?
Yeah.
All right, I think what we said about utilities when we were talking about the rate adjustment and all of that, we wanted each utility to be self-sustaining. And I think we're starting to see maybe some of that with this budget, we think?
Yes, sir.
Just in terms of, well, I say self-sustaining. I guess we could say we're at least, I mean, there used to be a point where we kind of break even, or sometimes even you lose money on it.
Yeah, and especially
based
in
on
your
this
water
bar.
and sewer, you're definitely seeing where they are
Yeah.
bringing in enough income to cover that particular department's expenses. But I mean, we still have to be aware that we make transfers to general fund because those are not revenue generating departments. But when you look at how far we've come with just them being able to sustain what their actual department expenditures are, it has definitely been a vast increase there. Those numbers have been positive.
Yeah, and I'll say it, because I was at a Mid-South City conference on last week, and I was with a couple of mayors, and one of them was saying, oh, look, I wish we could have electricity, so forth, so on. They don't have it. But I mean, it's, and I'm only saying that to say it's your electric department that's going to make sure that some of these other departments are funded, some of these other things that we want to do can happen, because that's what generating the revenue. And that's just the way it's been built. And without that, us, the city being an electric provider as well, I mean, we just wouldn't have the revenue to do some of the things we need to do. So I think, again, that point is noted. Just kind of wanted to share that out. But we just want to improve every year with water and sewer and all of these, all of our utilities.
Right.
Yeah.
So the next section, the graph that you see at the top of that middle section just gives you a listing of the number of customers with the particular utility services that we have with our city right now. You have over 9,100 water users, or water customers, let me say that way. You have 8,900 electric customers, and you have 7,000 garbage, and then you have 6,600 sewer customers. So that just gives you just some information there, nothing major. But we do pay attention to those numbers because we monitor if those are going up or down, because the more customers we have, the more revenue that we have. So we do pay attention to that. Sales tax collections is the next section, and this is just showing you over a 5-year period where our sales tax collections are going. As you can see, based on the data that we have now, year to date, we're going to be looking at about $14.3 million in sales tax, and that is a 4% increase over last year. Our sales taxes are in a positive trajectory. Now, I know that we've had some closures of some major players, but as me and the mayor have talked and kind of discussed before, we shouldn't see just a great decrease in our sales tax collections, because that wasn't a industry that was directly fixated in the city. It was outside of the city. So of course, we have families that lived in the city and, you may see a decrease in their spending, but overall sales tax collections that are driven by some of our commercial industries that's within the city limits, we should not see just a great reduction there, so.
What are you projecting for 25, 26?
25, 24, you can see, if you go back, we are looking at about 13 million is what we would, around that number.
So you're
And that's
looking at a
playing safe.
decrease?
Well, yeah, and we're playing it safe, for sure,
Yeah.
just to kind of see what the outcome is going to truly be, Because we can guess all day, but we want to make sure we play it safe there. TIF tax, we just kind of pulled this one out, 2% hotel tax, and over the last 5 years, you can kind of see where that tax collection have been going. It's going in the upward trend. At the end of this fiscal year, we should collect $344,000, which is a 2.75% increase over last year. So TIF tax is actually going in a positive trajectory as well.
I guess the projection that we're looking at this year is not as large as like the 12%.
No, and this
11%,
one,
but-
we didn't really gauge because the families that were affected would probably not be using our hotels. So we didn't just gouge that one much. That is definitely looking at the tourism, and our
Yeah.
tourism is going up. So we kind of looked at it in that
Well,
magnitude.
and I would say we did have a couple, I think we had like 3 Saturdays that were rained out in December
Yeah,
that would, just kind of
Yeah.
affect some stuff, negatively affect some stuff. Hopefully, we have better weather this year,
Right.
is what we're hoping, so.
but that is the pamphlet in itself. But of course, if you guys have any detailed questions that you want to ask, you go right ahead.
Do we have pamphlets back there?
Yes, we have pamphlets in the foyer.
Now, I don't know if y'all grabbed the pamphlet. I know y'all hear the HTBA situation, but I'm just saying that's a pamphlet. Oh, you grabbed one,
Yeah.
okay. It's pamphlet
So-
back.
Yep, and then we'll, once approved, well, at any time, you can visit City Hall and look at the budget in its entirety, but once it is approved, we do publish it in its entirety, so.
On the
that is
website?
Yes, yes, sir.
Published on the website, and then
Yes, sir.
you're able to physically see it as well. Yep.
And you pretty quick. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say, I had several questions that I sent over, and you answered those in great detail. I thought you did a great job answering
Thank
for
you.
me, so thank you.
Yes, sir, no problem.
I just wanted to say, like, concerning, like, the recreation budget,
Mm-hmm.
is there any room to try to, like, increase that budget? I know it's a lot of things that need to be done, like, far as, like, fencing and stuff like that.
I will deter that to Kevin, and only because what we did not cut deep any major changes that they were wanting to make. They presented a particular budget to us. So I would, not to put you on the spot, Kevin, but if you could give them a synopsis of what your plans are for the upcoming
Well,
year.
can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
You said you mentioned a fence. Did you have something else in mind?
On MLK, across from the recreation center, like, that side of fence, and it's on the road, like, MLK side, it look kind of.
Talking about that little gap?
Yeah. right
Because I think
behind
you
the
got some
building.
work done to the fence a couple years. By Young Fencing, that was one of his last projects he did for us. He's now, he passed on from us, but,
We replaced that fence from north of MLK across the street, all the way back to the skybox. Then I took the gate down and stored it. It's in storage because the fence didn't continue on up the street toward the fire station. It wasn't there, but we did replace that section of fencing. But as far as the coming year, in our future requests, we've asked for assistance in lighting, broken it down into a 5-year plan where because field lighting is unbelievably expensive. I mean, you can get in the millions pretty quick. And so we were asking for over a 5-year plan to replace lighting at certain parks before they just have to all be replaced at the same time. but Nicole and I and the mayor and everyone else has been in conversation about grants we categorized the parks where we could spend the money wisely, and Highland being one. The fence hadn't really been a discussion because the possibility of that project that we looked at taking care of that facility, the big plan that we had done.
Well, the reason I brought it up just because, like some of our parks might get vandalized, like the one over there in Breedertown. And so, it requires like, okay, it need to be painted, but, we always have to kind of come back and say, did we kind of budget for that kind of stuff,
Right.
to kind of keep that cleaned up.
Well, this way my budget is, this time of the year, if I've got excess money left in my normal budget, like the one year I painted the John B. Lowe Center, my next project over there is to paint the interior walls and change the lighting to LED lighting. But it's just, I'd save money all year long to try to do projects like that.
I feel like that'll give us just a little more cushion, like say when let things come up like that,
Yeah, it's pretty, Clarissa can tell you, it's pretty tight with what we do. If I have enough to buy a lawnmower at the end of the year, I feel pretty good. That's $20,000, and so I don't want to buy 5 or 6 at one time, so I try to buy one every once in a while just to keep things going, but it's tight.
Now, I'll rib her a little bit, she won't mind, but previous finance directors have allowed something called the mayor's budget. But, no, I'm just messing with Clarissa.
Chopped
But
it.
I guess I'm just saying as, what is it, Ed, 071? Is that right?
Yeah, we just call it 071.
071, we've used that before to do some of these kind of things you're saying. It helps to catch some of those. I think we've done street projects before, equipment purchases and things like that to kind of have done some things from that before. So that's still a possible. So we're not just stuck necessarily. If something needs to happen, we won't, we got to wait till June. We won't let it get like that if it's something that we really need to take care of. I guess that's why I said that.
And I'll tell you, Chris, if you just want to make, looking at a particular line item, we do have $13,700 budgeted for building and grounds. Now, again, that could vary because we have multiple properties, but there are monies directly funded for those types of things. Yes, sir.
My thing is, Carissa, I can't find it, is to put more money into, the budget for planning and zoning for grass cutting, instead of we cutting the grass twice, because I think we have more lots that has been adjudicated to the city and demolition and stuff, so we need to put, we need to put more money into that, and also with, Public Works also too, with the, I guess it's the chemicals for keeping the grass cut, especially on that bayou part, because I know we spent a lot of money on that area right there. It took a big chunk out of his budget from last year and stuff too. So we need to make adjustment in that area too, to put more money in there.
Well, and I can't say that we can make an adjustment right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But based on the budget that was presented by Ms. Rock, she has $50,000 in demolition and grass cutting.
Yeah, that's
over the
not
last 2 years, we have not exceeded $50,000.
Because I know, but with Public Works been doing it, and we can't put them off of that this year because it's so much with the grass cutting that they have to do. So we
Now
basically put them off
they
of that.
don't do all of her grass cutting.
They do majority of it.
Well, I'm not sure. I can't say that it's the majority or not because I'm not privy to the
Right,
list,
right.
or I have not asked to see that list. But I will say the last 2 years, they have not exceeded $50,000. And this is the budget that was presented by Ms. Rock. That would be an adequate budgeted level. So I would have to, defer to her to tell me whether or not she didn't feel like this was enough.
What is it around, Clarissa?
It's 50,000.
No, I said 50.
The last 2 years, they, 2023, fiscal year 2022, I would say, no, 2023 would be 37,000. They spent 37,000. Fiscal year 2024, they spent 42,000. So this year, they are at the point that we reviewed for the projected budget, they were only at 16,000. So, and I know that, summer months are coming up, but again, they have not exceeded 50,000 in the last 2 years, so that's why we put the mark at 50,000 based on what she was projected.
Yeah, because I
So
know,
the school on MLK will be dealt with separately?
You mean dealt with in terms of grass cutting and stuff like that?
Demolition. It's the same line item.
Well, I
No.
mean,
or with the board.
we don't have that set to be demolished. Is that what you're asking, Dale?
Well, it should come up.
Well, yeah, I think, Ms. Stacy, somebody called from the state, right? Asking for a key. Remember that? Remember somebody from Bessie called asking for a key to that building?
They don't need a key to
Oh,
go in.
yes,
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I say, you don't need a key to it because it's wide open. So, but I guess, and I don't know if they've called back or anything like that, but, so, and I guess what I'm saying that it's still state property. They're not moving like we want them to move, but at least I think there's a little maybe movement. They're trying to come look at the building. So I guess I'll try to follow up with the lady this week, whoever called.
I think she said that an inspector, they want it to come out and inspect it.
No, and I agree, something should happen to it.
I think we're
Now, we
going
do
to end
the
up
demolition,
having to board it up.
Yeah, well, and you remember, I had it on the
Rather not do
agenda
It needs,
about 2 years ago, I think, to board it up. But we couldn't do it because
It's not ours.
it's not ours. So, I mean, I guess some law, maybe good practice or something like that. But no, I agree, it's in bad shape. It's just wide open, people just
Very
going in there.
dangerous,
And it needs to be a way where we can make something happen a lot quicker and sooner. So, no, I hear what you're
Who's pushing
saying.
to find out about this building? Who is actually digitally working to find out about this building?
Well, I mean, it's kind of in Bessie's hands. I guess we can, and what Chantrell and I talked about, I think Eddie and I had a conversation. I talked to Chantrell about, at this point, do we go to, have a legal battle with Bessie at this point, So,
Because it's very dangerous, it really is. It's a hazard to the community and an eyesore.
Kids.
Green space would be,
now, we had it on the condemnation list before. We pulled it off for some reason.
Yeah.
Because
it's
we
pulled
didn't get in
off.
contact with Betsy.
Okay, yeah, I think that has happened now,
it
so.
was, they weren't noticed correctly.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's been a while ago, so we could certainly talk about condemning it again, or I say not again, but having on, and actually condemning
I
it.
think Alex
Type of
needs to
thing.
reach out to them, our
Yeah.
attorney, reach back out to them again.
I agree.
I think we're all in support of that.
Yeah, it's in bad shape, no doubt, really bad shape.
And there was another line item you said about Public Works. Which
Yeah,
exact
with the,
item?
I think is what,
The chemicals?
I think what it's called, Mr. Donald?
What you talking about with the chemicals that we spraying to
Yes,
maintain?
for the,
The ditches like Bayou Jackos and
yes.
surrounding ditches? Yeah,
So
we have,
we budget 8,000 a year for chemicals, and we've reached that mark each year. Was it something else, Donald?
no, pretty much it's just the ideal. Sometimes the chemicals, they fluctuate with prices. I think at Valley Co-op, the prices came down last year. 1 year, the first year, it went up on us, and then we was spending a lot of money to purchase the chemicals. But also, I reached out to Echo. They have, I was looking at it like, when they spray with our manpower and all that, it's a little more cheaper getting them to spray those bigger ditches, and it lasts longer. So I was kind of like keeping it on spreadsheets to try to, maintain and see how long we have to spray them and how often, so we make sure that it's, more beneficiary. So that's what I've been trying to do, and keep it on spreadsheets and try to see how long it lasts, because sometimes when we spray it with the poison that we get, it don't last as long, so it's wasting money. So I tried to get Echo to do it because they poison lasts longer.
So it is budgeted, but is it additional amount that would that be additional, Donald?
Well, I mean, last time, I think we used it on the, contractor's price.
Yeah, we do have that.
Yeah, so I think that's how we paid it, but it was still used on the contractors. But I mean, we every year we get close to running over, and other items. So I think also we having a lot of issues. I'm gonna tell you right now with John Deere, when the tractors break down, they're getting so expensive of getting the repairs done. So we having a lot of problems, and we overrunning, and I have to go into other items to try to come up with the money in order to pay for getting those tractors fixed.
But that's normal business, right, for us?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I think that spray thing, that's such a small, yeah,
Yeah,
we could easily,
we could easily,
we could handle that.
So basically,
There's
what
a lot
I'm,
we can handle, but we definitely handle that.
so basically with, planning and zoning and public works and stuff, and I don't know if the board will probably agree with me and stuff, is try to actually really not put all the work on them this year and not just cut the lots one time this year and stuff, because the customers and stuff, the residents are constantly calling, about we cutting it one time. That's what we basically, probably with their budget and stuff, we only cutting it one time, and then we pull in public works and cutting everything. So we do
Yeah.
more as in 4 cuts and keep it down low. It'll actually really be real good instead of 1 cut. And then it actually really make the community look a lot better. We doing more ditches and everything like that and stuff this year, where we're not constantly putting an overload on, public works.
And I guess it'll be us getting with Ms. Chantrell to see what that cost looks like for her. Because again, this is the 50,000 is what was presented, so.
She's not
we
using
can-
all of it, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, but we could get with her to see what that actually looks like, and if there's funds that need to be allocated to that. Again, it may not happen in this session, that we can just say that funds will be allocated, but it's definitely something that we can look at in the upcoming year, to see if, to find funds to support that.
Okay.
Well, we may, excuse me, have to look at the verbiage.
Okay.
That once they get on the frequent flyer list, they stay on it, that she doesn't have to reinvent the wheel every year.
Yeah.
Because-
Yes, sir.
I think what do you mean by that? Like the people who,
Well,
the property's not being cut?
Yeah, if they don't cut it
Yeah.
in 2024, and she sends a letter out, there's a lag there to give them an opportunity to comply, then she has to react again to get them to comply. Then you finally get to the point where you get it cut, and the grass is knee-high.
But I think these ones and stuff that I'm,
So next year, if they were on the
Right.
list last year and they end up back on there again, which is very likely, she should have the authority to go ahead and cut it and charge them.
Yeah, no, I
So-
agree.
think
for
it
the
going,
I
neighborhood.
agree.
it going to Texas, though? When she cut it, does it go into property taxes?
We do, they
talking
do,
about
yes,
lien.
yes, they do
Yes,
file a lien.
property owner.
Yeah. And then, I got one more question
Yeah.
too. So with the, car towing that we had, how's that actually, I think this is a question for. I
Chief?
think, Chief.
Chief
So
can answer.
are we able
Collins,
to
Chief
get
Collins, that is. Got two chiefs.
started back on the car towing, the ones and stuff that we tagged from last year?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Car towing.
Okay, so what's the question?
So more as in, are we going to go back and, start pulling those cars that we had tagged last year to start pulling them in the proper destination that they need to be towed to? Or
Yes,
do we still
ma'am.
have that
All
company?
vehicles that have been tagged, per the ordinance, we send out certification letters to those individuals. We only have one vendor that's actually towing vehicles. And recently, he started towing vehicles again. It had been a lapse. We put notice out in the paper to just make sure everyone was aware that, hey, we hadn't forgot about the vehicles. It's just that we do not have the means in the city of Natchitoches to tow the vehicles ourselves. And
Okay.
no, none of the local record services participate in programs. So it took us a while, I think from 2016 until just last year, that we were able to get someone to get signed up. He is in Pineville. But at the same time, the purpose of the ordinance is to encourage people to clean up their neighborhoods. And they don't realize that we get calls from the neighbors. So we're being responsive to those neighbors' needs and requests. And of course, the people who are being notified that they need to do something with their vehicle, they have the opportunity to take the action necessary to correct it.
Now, he is towing, but I can't say how often he's coming.
He basically, he's only able to transport 2 vehicles at a time, coming back and forth from Pineville. The other day, he towed 1 vehicle because it took up his whole flatbed wrecker. So he would have taken 2 that day, but, and sometimes he'll make multiple trips, but he is going down a list. Corporal Lee actually coordinates that when he comes on site so that we have an officer there and present to make sure everything's okay.
And I know they're towing because one person made a video about me on Facebook, so I heard about it. I forgot who that was. All right,
That vehicle had been towed, had tagged May.
Yeah, a
May
long time.
2024.
yeah, okay. But again, we've got what we've got. I mean, it's a Pineville. He can't tow as many, but hopefully we could, like Chief said, we don't want to tow. We really want people to, clean the stuff up and get it running and get it moving. So, all right. Not sure if there are any other questions. I don't know. Nobody signed a pre-meeting, did they? Okay.
We do have
So we
someone,
can go
Ms.
to
Blake
5:30.
is here. Ms. Blake? Yes, Ms. Blake is here to discuss her issue.
Well,
We need to
we would have to
close
get her
out.
to a pre-meeting, or we could just let it's a budget hearing topic.
Is it public, The
No, is this a pre-meeting?
After the
Just,
budget.
I mean,
Did she
yeah,
sign
I guess
in?
we can gavel out the
We
budget.
have to close out.
Yeah.
Gavel out the budget and then
Start the
get her to
pre-meeting.
sign. Ms. Blake, did you get the little paper at the back?
Go sign
It's a
in.
little, yeah, on the end. It's a little sheet, yeah, I think when we come in on the table, right? In the back there?
Yes.
While she's doing that, and I know you're gonna gavel out, but give her time. I want to address this to Kevin, and I'm gonna send you a text, but there are some issues at the Ben Park that I would like you to address, especially those receptacles at the park, electrical receptacles at the park, and the lighting up ahead, and painting. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okey dokey, okay? All right.
Close it,
I'll forget everything.
close the.
All right. All right, our budget hearing is now closed. At this time, we've got about 14 more minutes before our council meeting starts, and 14 minutes